It is necessary to have a ghusl on embracing Islam, after sexual intercourse or seminal emission, at the end of menstruation, and after childbirth and before being buried, when your body is washed for you. It is necessary to be in ghusl and in wudu before you do the salat or hold a copy of the Quran. Ghusl is a purification both inwardly and outwardly. Hadith, the written record of what the Prophet Muhammad said or did. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, preserved intact from source, through a reliable chain of human transmission, person to person. Hadith Qudsi, the written record of those words of Allah on the tongue of the Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, which are not a part of the revelation of the Quran, preserved intact from source, through a reliable chain of human transmission, person to person. Hajj, the greater pilgrimage to the Kaaba, the house of Allah in Makkah, and the performance of the rites of pilgrimage in the protected area which surrounds the Kaaba. The Hajj begins on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the 12th lunar month of the Muslim calendar. The Hajj is one of the pillars of Islam, and is a purification outwardly and inwardly. Hajrat al-Aswad, the black stone, a stone, which some say fell from Hiyavayan, set into one corner of the Kaaba in Makkah by the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be on him, which the pilgrims, in imitation of the Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, kiss, so unifying all the Muslims throughout the ages in one place. Halal, what is permitted by the Sharia. Haram, what is forbidden by the Sharia. Also haram, a protected area. There are two protected areas, known as the Haramain, in which certain behavior is forbidden and other behavior necessary. These are the areas around the Kaaba in Makkah and around the Prophet's mosque in Medina, in which is his comb, the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. Hijra, to emigrate in the way of Allah to a place where it is possible to follow the way of Muhammad. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, and establish the deen of Islam as a social reality. Islam takes its dating from the first hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad, from Makkah to Medina, in 622 AD. Hudud, the limits, the boundary limits which separate what is halal from what is haram, as defined by Allah. Eid, a festival. There are two main festivals of the Muslim year, on the first day of which Eid prayers are prayed. Eid al-Adha, a 4-day festival at the time of the Hajj. The Eid of the Greater Sacrifice. It starts on the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, the day the pilgrims sacrifice their animals, remembering the sacrifice which the Prophet Ibrahim, on him be peace, was prepared to make, and the sacrifice which he made instead. Eid al-Fitr, 3-day festival after the month of fasting, Ramadan. Idin, permission or authority, either to teach or to fight jihad in the way of Allah. Idin is from Allah and his messenger, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. Ihsan, the inward state of the mu'min, who is constantly aware of being in the presence of Allah, and who acts accordingly. Ihsan is to worship Allah as though you see him, knowing that although you do not see him, he sees you. Ijtihad, exercising personal judgment, the faculty of deciding the best course of action in a situation, which is not expressly referred to in the Quran and the Hadith, and then choosing a course of action which is close to the Sunnah, and in accord with the Sharia. Very useful when dealing with technology. Imam, the one who leads the communal prayers. Lane, the first Muslim community of Medina al-Munawwara, the Emir was the Imam. Iman, trust in Allah and acceptance of his messengers. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. Iman grows in the heart of the one who follows the way of Islam. Iman is to believe in Allah, his angels, his books, his messengers, the last day, and the fire, and the garden, and the decree of what is good and what is evil. Thus, Iman is the inner knowledge and certainty in the heart, which gives you taqwa and tawbah, and the yearning to know more. Inshallah, if Allah is willing, if Allah wants it. Islam, the prophetic guidance brought by the Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, for this age, for the people and jinn who desire peace in this world, the garden in the next world, and knowledge and worship of Allah in both worlds. The 5 pillars of Islam are the affirmation of the Shahada, doing the Salat, fasting Ramadan, paying the Zakat, and doing the Hajj if you are able. The peak of Islam is jihad. A person enters Islam by saying the Shahada in front of at least 2 witnesses, and having a ghusl either directly before or after this. Isnad, the record, either memorized or recorded in writing, of the names of the people who form the chain of human transmission, person to person, by means of which a hadith is preserved and accordingly these people themselves. One of the sciences of the Muslims, which was developed after the Prophet Muhammad's death, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, is the science of assessing the authenticity of a hadith by assessing the reliability of its isnad. Isra, the night journey of the Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, from Makkah to Jerusalem, and then through the realms of the 7 heavens, beyond the limit of forms, the Sidrat al-Muntaha, to within a bow span's length, or nearer to the presence of the real Israfil, the angel who will blow the trumpet which heralds the last day. Lazrul, the angel who takes the ruh from the body at the moment of death. Jabarut, the source world, the world of divine light and power. Sheikh Abdul Qadir el-Murabit writes, the kingdom of power. This is the kingdom of lights. Sheikh al-Akbar notes, with Abu Talib it is the world of immensity. With us it is the middle world. By this he indicates that the mulk is opposite the Jabarut, and it is precisely the realm of lights, the divine presence that clears the split between the 2 worlds, on which creational reality is based. That means that light is the barzakh, the interspace between the visible and the invisible. In reality, existence is one. The 3 kingdoms are one kingdom with one Lord. It is by the setting up of the limits and the barriers, and the differences that the universal metagalactic existence is able to come into being. That which sets up barriers and is the barriers is none other than the one reality in its sublime perfection, unrelated to any form. The barriers are not realities in themselves, yet without them nothing would be defined, and no one could define them. Quranic Tawhid. Diwan Press, 1981. Jahiliyyah, the time of arrogance and ignorance, which precedes the time when the way of Islam is established as a social reality. Anyone who does not have wisdom suffers from Jahiliyyah. Jalal, Allah's attribute of majesty. Jamal, Allah's attribute of beauty. Jibril, the angel Gabriel, peace be on him. Jihad, the fight in the way of Allah against kufr. Lordly, the greater jihad is the fight against the kufr in your own heart. Until your heart is purified, you are your own worst enemy. Outwardly, the lesser jihad is the fight against the kafir who attempts to subvert or destroy the practice of Islam. Jinnah, the garden, the final destination and resting place of the Muslims in the Akhirah, once the day of reckoning is past. Jinnah is accurately described in great detail in the Quran and in the Hadith. Jinn, beings made of smokeless fire, who live in the unseen. Some jinn are mu'min, some are kafir, some are the followers of shaitan, and we seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan. Jizya, the annual acts paid by all adult males of the al-Dima, who are guaranteed the protection of the Muslims in return. Kaaba, the house of Allah, in Makkah, originally built by the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be on him, and rebuilt with the help of the Prophet Muhammad. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. The Kaaba is the focal point which all Muslims face when doing the Salat. This does not mean that Allah lives inside the Kaaba, nor does it mean that the Muslims worship the Kaaba. It is Allah whom the Muslims worship, and Allah is not contained or confined in any form or place, or time, or concept. Kafir, the one who denies the existence of Allah, and who rejects his prophets and messengers, and who accordingly has no peace or trust in this life, and a place in the fire in the next life. Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Murabit writes, Kufr means to cover up reality. Kafir is one who does so. The kafir is the opposite of the mu'min. The point is that everyone knows how it is, only it suits some people to deny it and pretend it is otherwise. To behave as if we were going to be here forever. This is called kufr. The condition of the kafir is therefore one of neurosis, because of his inner knowing. He bites his hand in rage, but will not give in to his inevitable oncoming death. Quranic Tawhid. Diwan Press, 1981. Kafirun, the plural of kafir, the disbelievers. Caliph, one who stands in for someone else, in this case, the leader of the Muslim community. In the first Muslim community of Medina al-Munawwara, the caliph was the emir, was the imam. Qara'i, taxes imposed on revenue from land or the work of slaves. Khulafa ar-Rashidun, the rightly guided caliphs, Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and Ali. May Allah be pleased with them. Kitab, a book. Kufr, to cover up reality, to deny Allah, to reject His messengers. Kutub, the plural of kitab, books, often meaning the books revealed by Allah to His messengers. Lub, a core. This term is used in the Quran to indicate people who have great understanding in the core of their being, the heart. Those who have lub are capable of worshipping Allah with deep knowledge and attaining marifa. Medina al-Munawwara, the city to which the Prophet Muhammad made hijrah. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. And where the revelation of the Quran was completed. The first Muslim community was established in Medina al-Munawwara, and Allah says in the Quran that this is the best community ever raised up from amongst mankind. Their hearts and actions were illuminated and enlightened, may Allah be pleased with all of them, by Allah and His Messenger. And Medina al-Munawwara is still illuminated by the presence of the arwah of those of them who are buried there, especially the Prophet Muhammad. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. Mahdi, one who is rightly guided. The Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, said that there would be a Mahdi every 100 years who would revive the deen of Islam, and that the last of them would be the Mahdi who would fight the Dajjal until the Prophet Jesus, peace be on him, returned to this world and killed the Dajjal. Makkah, the city in which the Kaaba stands, and in which the Prophet Muhammad was born, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, and where the revelation of the Quran commenced. Makruh, disapproved of without being forbidden. Malaika, the angels, who are made of flight, and glorify Allah unceasingly. They are neither male nor female, they do not need food or drink. They are incapable of wrong action, and disobeying Allah, and they do what Allah commands them to do. Everyone has 2 recording angels continually with them, who write down their actions, and none of this escapes the knowledge of Allah. Malakut, the angelic world, the kingdom of unseen forms. Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Murabit writes, this is both the kingdom of the source forms of the creational realities, crystals, atoms, organisms, and the kingdom of the spiritual realities, the lot tree, the balance, the throne, and so on. It is the realm of vision, as the mulk is the realm of event. As the characteristic of the mulk is fixity, or apparent fixity, so the characteristic of the malakut is flux and transformation, or apparent flux. In fact, one could say that the reality of the 2 worlds is opposite that, for indeed, the solid forms are all in change, while the visions are all unfolding the fixed primal patterns on which all the visible world is based. Quranic Tawhid. Diwan Press, 1981. Manua, what is prohibited in acts of worship in the Sharia? Marifat Gnosis, the highest knowledge of Allah possible to man or woman. It is to directly witness the light of the names and attributes of Allah manifested in the heart. Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Murabit writes, Gnosis, the central knowledge, for it is knowledge of the self, is a proof to the one who knows it, and this is its glory and its supremacy over all others. By it, its possessor knows the universe, how it is set up, and its underlying laws, in their action, their qualities and their essences. His knowledge of the universe is his own self-knowledge, while his knowledge of his own self is direct perception of his own original reality, the Adamic identity. Everything he is comes from Allah. He never sees anything, but he sees Allah in it, before it, after it. There is only Allah in his eyes, as there is only Allah in his heart. Quranic Tawhid. Diwan. Press. 1981. Mashallah, it is the will of Allah, it is what Allah wants. Masih Dajjal, the false Messiah, the Antichrist, the Dajjal. Masih ibn Maryam, the Messiah, son of Mary Jesus Christ, peace be on him. Mikkel, the angel in charge of the garden. Mizan, balance, in life, inwardly and outwardly. Mizan is also used to indicate the means by which actions and intentions will be measured on the last day. Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Murabit writes, Ai Mizan, its meaning is the justice and harmony of all creation, and therefore of time or space, and therefore of us and events. It is the meaning of the garden and the fire, of balance between the mattresses. It is what was called in the ancient Tao form of Islam in China, yin or yang. It is the seeker tea of the contrary names. It is what we are born and die on, and which turns our acts and intentions into realities. To be weighed on the day of the balance. Quranic Tawhid. Diwan Press. 1981. Mud, a measure of volume. One both hands, cup full, double-handed scoop. Mufsada, what invalidates acts of worship in the Sharia. Mufsidin, the mischief makers, those who say they are putting everything right, when in fact, they are only creating disorder. Musin, the Muslim who has isan, and who accordingly only gives reality to the real, Allah. Only the Musin really knows what Tawhid is.